Good day, everyone. Welcome to this presentation on domestic tourism in Africa. My name is Mary Kalikawe. I am a tourism advisor on competitiveness of clusters, such clusters as we have in the Africa Tourism Board. I am a practitioner myself, hands-on, because I own a tour operator company which has been running for 20 years. And I'm also a consultant and an award winner. Today, I want to bring your attention to 4 items which concern domestic tourism in Africa. I'm going to talk about the comparison of domestic tourism and leisure tourism. I will also talk about the importance of looking at tourism in terms of its value chain. And thirdly, I will link tourism to arrivals in the destinations where we are. And the fourth one will be the gap between what we have now and where we should be. Now, going back to domestic tourism and comparing it to leisure tourism, we see that our focus has been on leisure tourism, where people go to visit national parks, beaches, museums, things of wonder like man-made and natural wonders. That is the major segment of tourism, which also attracts international tourists. So domestic tourism is when we look at the wholesome concept of tourism, where we have leisure as just a small section of tourism. As we all know, the World Tourism Organization definition of tourism expands much further than leisure tourism. So we have MICE, where we have got meetings, congresses, conventions, events, trade fairs, sports, so many other things, business, all these are different things that happen that are definitely considered tourism. We know when people bid for the World Cup or the Olympics, they want tourists, they want people to come to their destinations. So we need to understand the difference between leisure tourism and the whole concept of domestic tourism. It's when we recognize the diversity of tourism that exists, that is when we will be able to estimate and give proper measure of what tourism is in our destinations in Africa. Because it is also considered that you can't have, if you give statistics of your tourists based only on leisure tourism or based on only international tourism, you are leaving out a big part of tourism that has been taking place in your destination. So we need to consider people who go for national celebrations when we are talking about domestic tourism, people who go for pilgrimage, people who go for festivals, and people who travel for medical reasons. All these are considered tourists, and we need to consider them. Because now if I go to the next item, which is the importance of the value chain of tourism, is when we consider the diversity, not considering just mono products like just national parks, just visitors to pyramids alone. We have to diversify. It's very important if we need to harness the benefits of the value chain of tourism. It must be clear to everybody that we have hotels in our different countries, and 70% or more of the people who live in the hotels, who stay in the hotel sector, are domestic. It's the people who travel around the country. They are not necessarily international people who come to stay in our hotels. And we all consider the hotel sector to be a tourism sector. So you can see that even the travelers, most of the people who travel, they are nationals or people who live within the different countries. So when we leave all that one out, we are leaving out a big section. And when we so many people consider that if you go for a congress, maybe or a conference in a certain destination, is when you go to see natural wonders. After the meeting, that's when you have become a tourist. Or if you went to a sports tournament and then after that you went to see wonders, that's when you are a tourist. No, just by traveling and going to a sports tournament in a different overnight or more days, you are already a tourist without having gone to see natural wonders. These are points that are going to have to cause a shift of our mindset, because it's only when we shift from concentrating on leisure tourism alone, that's when we will see the linkage of the value chain of tourism and our being able to exploit the benefits of domestic tourism. So you see, the value chain is what causes investment. When people arrive in a destination, they want to sleep. They want a place to sleep. They want to be transported from the point of arrival to where they are going. Maybe from the airport to the city center for a conference, or to the best medical hospital that they came to for attention, or to where the festivals are happening. So when people arrive, just by arriving, they cause investment, they cause employment. Someone has to be there to give them the service. They want to eat, they want to sleep, and all these are what turns out to be the benefit now of these arrivals in these destinations. So it is very important that even provincial governments recognize the importance of every arrival. A person who arrives, and especially the overnight arrivals, and these are our domestic people. When they arrive with money, they arrive with jobs, they arrive with investment potentials. So this is what is very, very important for us to know, and that's why we need to diversify. If we consider leisure alone, then it means all these investments that are going into serving arrivals, we don't consider them. And by not considering them, we weaken the tourism sector, because we leave out a lot that is happening within the sector. Now, the fourth one is about the gap that is existing. And the gap is mainly in the language. When we talk to our domestic people, when we talk tourism, we have always used the foreign languages. It's mainly, of course, English in most African countries. That's why you'll find brochures, websites, any information that is coming in terms of tourism is mostly expressed in English, or if it is properly Portuguese or French in those countries. Because we mainly focus on the foreign tourists. And many times we will say, if we are going to deal with tourism, we definitely have to use English, because it is the language that is the language for the sector. And this is showing that we are thinking of the foreigner. But we could use our own languages, because we have a huge segment that is domestic, that is actually arriving and bringing money to destinations and jobs and investment. So I would like to say that information as well is lacking we don't send out information. And when we talk of information, we'll be talking of how you segment the society. If you are talking to the youth, then the language, how to reach the youth when you want to advertise your attraction or your service that you are going to serve them, to take them to where they want, you have to use the media that will reach the youth. If you are talking to corporate, you have to use the right. So the way we send out information shows that we have actually forgotten the domestic sector, which is quite large. So we have that gap in information which we need to work on. And we also have a gap in packaging services. If someone wants to travel, if someone is sick and they have been told that they are supposed to go to a referral hospital in a different, like maybe 1,000 kilometers away, this person is sick. So they need service. They need someone who can package the whole thing about how, counsel them, how are they going to travel, how are the people who are going to assist them going to find accommodation where they are going, how are they going to reach the doctor. So this has to be packaged together so that the services that are being offered to the domestic tourists are also packaged. This is still a big gap in this area, and which we need to also work on. And also, we should also look at event calendars. If we want to address the people who are traveling for sports and for festivals, we need to have calendars so that people have enough information. If it is sports tournaments, when do they happen? Where do they happen? What are the policies? All these things need to be linked to the domestic traveler. I would like to end there, and thank you so much for listening to this lecture. Bye-bye.